Shalom Chaverim, 8 p.m. here in the district. We had a very pleasant day today, very unlike August, because of the smoke from the Canadian fires. Just thin enough to block the sun, not thick enough to affect breathing or anything, so temperatures stayed rather nice. Of course, we'll be back in the 90s next week, typical August weather. However, we're going to enjoy keeping the air conditioning off and the cooler temperatures through Sunday, and then it's back to August again. Lots of things happening in the news. However, let's stay away from the news for a few minutes. Last week, I asked people on a scale of 1 to 10 about being happy and what would make you happy. And one of the oddities about us as human beings is we attribute our happiness to things outside our control, which means we're never going to be happy. I would be happy if, and then people kept listing events, politics, things that are pure arbitrary, beyond anyone's control. And that's a classic mistake with happiness. I would be happy if I won the lottery, if I won the Mega Millions. Oh, I play it, I don't win. So I'm unhappy. And that's a really good example of not evaluating me, but looking at something external. I would be happy if. And so let's go back again to our scale of 1 to 10. What are things within your control that will make you happy? And that's what we want to focus on when we start thinking about, why am I so unhappy? I'm unhappy probably because I'm waiting for something that I have no control over. And I just become like a ball in a pinball machine, a ping pong ball getting bounced back and forth. Kind of odd. Now, I'm getting requests again for people who want to join, and every week I make the same speech. Maybe I should just have my AI tell you. You're all invited next week. No questions asked. rabbiblock@hotmail.com. We'll meet in my Zoom room. We can go over topics and how we're going to handle 2 or 3 or 4 of us without stepping on each other, without not letting each other talk. Or the idea is to have a conversation, not a soapbox. If you want a soapbox or a platform, go live. However, I really would like to have everyone that's asking to be invited as a guest to be my guest. I say that every week. And the only way that's going to happen is if you contact me. Now, one thing I have looked into, and at someone's suggestion, and that person never emailed me back, would be to have a live phone-in or live conversation. I'm not quite sure how to do that by myself. And no, I don't speak fluent Hebrew. Someone just asked me. I can translate, I can read biblical, medieval, modern Hebrew, Hebrew poetry, but I never perfected the fluency of language, spoken language, but I can read and translate. Someone just said the question, what if you aren't Jewish? There are as many ways to understand God as there are blades of grass on the fairway. When I worked at the hospital, I had 3 or 4 volume set of religions. And the publisher stated that this collection wasn't even exhaustive. And the internet now has demonstrated that. There are a lot of organized religions. There are a lot of disorganized religions. And it's how we understand the universe. Now, many religious groups and individuals who write believe that there is only one way, and it's their way. That certainly is your belief. I do not believe that. And so you people ask about being Jewish, or people actually condemn other religions. Don't condemn other religions. Take a look at yourself. Why aren't you happy? What's wrong with your own religion? And that's what I keep bringing us back to, keep focusing on us. And someone just said God's extremely complex and it's hard to understand. Exactly. And it would be foolish and very arrogant to tell me what God wants or what God knows. You can't define or understand that which is not definable or understandable. So rather than arguing and fighting with each other, just let's look at each other and agree there are lots of ways to understand the universe. No, there is no hell in Judaism. There's no heaven in Judaism, by the way. When we end our time in a body as mortals, the spirit returns to God who gave it. We don't know what that means. We'll all find out at some point. And it doesn't mean eternal punishment. It doesn't mean you're not playing games. In Judaism, we believe the spirit returns and becomes one with the one. Okay? And Judaism also teaches us it's not productive to have debates and discuss what happens after we die, because it's not verifiable in any reasonable way. Let's focus on the here and now. Let's focus on our lives. Let's focus on why we're happy. Let's focus why we're not happy. And I said at the beginning, and I'll bring it back again, if we're honest with ourselves, we're pinning both our happiness and unhappiness on things that are external to us, things that we cannot control, wishful thinking, fantasy, rather than taking a look and saying, I'm 79 years old. I would be happy if I could be an astronaut. It's not going to happen. I would only be happy if I could be a fighter pilot. It's not going to happen. So I'm dooming myself to be unhappy by the very fact that I'm setting up something that isn't going to happen. By the same token, I'm unhappy because I'm 79, because I have osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, I get stiff, I have problems moving. Again, I'm pinning my unhappiness on my own self, my body, where I am. I exercise, I go to the gym, I can walk. However, as we age, our bodies age. You know, if I knew I was going to be 80, I would have taken better care of my body. So that's a lesson for all of you out there. Be careful, because one day you're going to wake up, and then the unhappiness will be because, and let's come back to our topic. When we look at the happiest nations in the known universe, in America, I wrote it down. Let me see if I saved it, because I thought it was curious. I don't know if I can find it quickly. The United States is ranked 24th in the World Happiness Ranking. Finland tops the list for 8 years in a row. And what we find is very consistent, content with what we have, content with where we are. It doesn't mean we don't strive for more. It doesn't mean we don't make things better. That's not what it means. It means at 8:10 on August 6th, I'm live on TikTok. Now, what does that mean in terms of where I am? How can I truly connect with God? Each one of us needs to find the path, the way to connect with God. I would suggest starting with your family's religion or how you were brought up. However, if there was nothing there, start exploring. Start talking to people. Ask people. And whoever asks that question, email me at rabbiblock@hotmail.com, and I would be glad to help act as a guide. I don't have an answer. I don't get any credit or points for converting people, convincing people, which I don't do. There's no reason to. And I'll be glad to offer some suggestions, to tell you some things. The starting point is talk to other people and say, how do you understand God? And then you look at it and you go, that doesn't resonate with me. Or it does resonate with me. The internet and YouTube provides us with something we never had before, and that's the ability to peruse, to go through all different religions. You can attend worship services online, all different denominations, if you want formal worship. If you're looking for meditation, if you're looking for something that's more introspective, people are posting. Here on TikTok, people are posting. And so the idea would be to compare, to try out, to look at, and look into Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, the Roman Catholic Church. One thing you want to start with is how structured are you looking for? You're looking for something that's very structured with a lot of rules. Are you looking to a path for God, a path to the one that has no structure or that's completely open? And that's a way to start deciding what to look at. Because Islam, Judaism, Roman Catholicism, Eastern Orthodox, Episcopalian, Anglican are very structured, organized religions. While we have Buddhism, Hinduism, and other forms that are less structured. Someone said something about a prayer for a coworker. Please email me. I have a number of, I can send you some things in writing, or we can meet in my Zoom room. I'd be glad to help you. Now, are you a fan of Jesus? How can you not be? He was born a Jew. He died a Jew. On the cross, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. He was reciting from the book of Psalms, from the final confession, from the Vidui in Judaism. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Always when we're dying, that doubt, that question, where are you? Because I'm not ready yet. None of us are ever ready when God calls us home. And having Rabbi Gamliel as Jesus' teacher, everything's Jewish. There's nothing to. It was later, through Paul and the councils, that Christianity became its own religion. But if you're asking me about biblical Jesus, then not a problem. And then, of course, once Christianity, different forms developed in order to understand God. No, I'm not Orthodox. I see that the same person asking. Someone said, would I pray in a mosque? And I have. I was chaplain at a psychiatric hospital for the VA for 40 years. We had Mass every day at noon. And often isn't the word, because it was more than often. I would go to Mass most days when I was on duty. It was a quiet time. The liturgy was in no way contradictory to my beliefs. I did not go up to receive communion. There are certain affirmations that certain doxologies I didn't recite. And the priests who were leading the Mass, we all knew each other. We're all chaplains. We all worked together. And they would often offer up a prayer for me. Very, very nice. I liked the quiet. I liked the structure of the Mass. Reminded me of Jewish worship. And I would sit with my patients. And many of them were not Catholic, and many of them didn't go up for communion like I did. It was a time for reflection, a time for quiet, and whichever our priests were saying the Mass, they would offer a homily. And and then there would be the saint of the day. What could be better? What could be better? And when I lived in Israel, I went to a mosque. Not so much, I'm not close enough, and it has nothing to do with belief or not. Okay? Nothing to do. And that's to answer the someone just said, would you pray in a church? And I just said, yes. And I also do interfaith weddings. My website's rabbionthego.com. And more than half of the thousands of weddings I've performed have been in churches co-officiating with the minister, pastor, or priest. Very comfortable. Very comfortable. Because you see, it's all to the greater glory of God. And that's what this is all about. And it's not a case of the God of Islam or the God of Christianity. There is the one. Just many ways to understand and many ways to attain to the one, to the greater glory of your understanding of God. So it's not, someone says, who's your God? It's not, oh, my God's an iPhone. Oh, my God's my book. No, we're misunderstanding, and the word God's kind of a tough one. That's why I like to use the one. How do I understand the one? And how do each of us understand? And Abraham was the father of Ishmael. And Ishmael becomes a founder of Islam. And so I refer to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam as the Abrahamic religions, because they came out of the biblical of Abraham. And each spread and found a different way to the one. The mistake we make, and politicians do this to get power and control, is to divide us, is to have us believe that, yes, I have studied Kabbalah, I still study Kabbalah, I am a big fan of Jewish mysticism. A lot to be learned. No, Messianic Jews are Christians. They're not Jews. Nothing wrong with that way, but it's kind of a misnomer. And when one accepts Jesus as the Christ, think of the word Christian. That's what the word Christian means, accepting Jesus as the Christ. And so they're following a biblical path to Jesus, so that makes them Christian. Again, the mistake is pitting one against the other, is trying to usurp, trying to convince people you're right, you're wrong, trying to blackmail people, trying to browbeat people. And I'm waiting for the Messiah. For me, the Messiah hasn't come yet. My teachings teach me that when the Messiah comes, we'll have heaven on earth and God's kingdom will be established on earth. All you have to do is watch the news to realize we're not there yet. And so, even though the Messiah may tarry, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. And Judaism teaches, while we're waiting, let's get on with life. How are you going to be happy? Does being mean to other people make you happy? Does your happiness depend on the death of other people? Does your happiness depend on the destruction of other individuals by religion, by gender, by skin color? Is that what your happiness depends on? Destruction? Well, that's the path you've chosen. And I don't think it's going to lead. Thank you for the gift. Someone just sent, I sent you a gift. Thank you. Can you read the genealogy and their meaning from... Now, my view of Torah, the Torah is truth and it's not true. And we want to ask the right questions so we get the right answers. If we start asking the Torah, the Bible, Scripture, Old Testament, New Testament, for advice on medicine, for advice on I don't know what, we're not going to find it. Because the sacred literature is truth and it's not true. It's sacred because it's a way for us to understand the one. Not to be taken literally because it won't hold up. It says in Psalms, all flesh is grass. It's not grass. That's a metaphor, meaning it's not permanent. It grows, withers, it comes up. But that's not what it says. It says all flesh is grass. So we want to be careful about how we understand truth, how we understand metaphors, hyperbole. There's lots of language. But if we're always looking for truth, not the true, like CNN, or like watching something that's been recorded. And I've told you before, I do believe in a two-state solution, and it would require both states to recognize the right of the other state to exist, and both states not to allow a foreign power like Iran to arm it and control it to destroy another one. So I want to be perfectly clear that my view requires the respect. Mexico, the United States, Canada, France, Switzerland, none of those countries exist to destroy other countries. And no amount of looking through the rearview mirror is going to justify it. So let's just start with, we all have a right to exist. And let's not let our country become a platform for destruction or the politics of another country that's not in our best, that's not looking for our best interest. Iran isn't looking for the best interest of the Palestinians. Hamas isn't looking for the best interest of Palestinians. No, neither is Hezbollah. I'm looking for the Saudis to step up to the plate and lead to two peaceful states. But I digress. What do I have to do to go to heaven? Do unto others. Don't do unto others that which is hateful to you. Heaven, we're all going back to God. And each religion has a way of understanding what that... Oh, Rabbi Sherwin-Wine. I haven't heard that name in centuries. And in Judaism, there are no rules to go to heaven. We don't have a heaven or hell. When this life ends, the spirit returns to God and we become part of the one. Everything's interconnected. Everything's one. And we become part of it. And we want to be careful. Again, let's go back. That what will work for you may not work for me. Doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. Doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean I'm right. And if we look at I'd like to say every faith in the known universe, but that would be more than hyperbole because I couldn't have done it. We find that the word in Hebrew for Jewish law, halacha, is path. The word in Islam is path. The Buddha taught the Eightfold Path. The Native American, our indigenous people, talk about staying on the path. It appears that based on culture, based on climate, based on a lot of different things, religions developed with a path or a way. Now our question, to answer the person who asked me before, we have to find a path that works for us. Not that anyone's right or wrong. Rather is, do I have good days and bad days? Am I happy? Do I not hurt and destroy? Do I not take a weapon and shoot people in buildings, in military bases? Do I go out on the streets of D.C. and shoot people because they're different height, different color, different gender? That's not... doesn't seem to make people happy. It just leads to more misery and unhappiness. We're all the children of God. You said, does Abraham... I'm God's son. The children of Israel. Children of God. So you are the son or daughter of God. And we all are. Let's come back then to what's going to make us happy is finding that path. Maybe looking at how other religions, organizations, and people have done that without looking for the one way or the right way, and there's only one. There isn't only one. There isn't. And history has demonstrated that throughout the centuries. She said, that's metaphorical. I'm talking about a literal son. I'm the son of God. That's quite literal. And you're the son or daughter of God. And that's very literal, not metaphor. Was India promised to you? I'll have to go look up at the family records to see if somebody promised. I don't think anyone in my family had enough contact that the land of India would be promised to me. But I don't think I want to own India. I don't want it. There's too much politics. There's too many things going on. I was on the school board up in Harford County for 10 years. And that settled I didn't want to be in politics. Too nasty, too backstabbing, too many deals to get your deal. And just the nature of politics. It's not an easy give and take. It's ugly. It's sort of like watching sausage being made. You don't want to watch it. It's really ugly. And so I decided I didn't want to stay in politics after 10 years. And we need to, all of us, recognize we're all children of God. And too often, the politics of a country is very destructive. Well, we're coming close to the end, and we have to have a word from our sponsor. You know, if there are 5,000 people, I'm looking at the figure up there, that were watching today, if only a few of them buy my book, I'll be able to get by a yacht and go on a long cruise. Please. The price of the book is worth Joe's cartoons. Never mind the wisdom of Rabbi Block that makes up the book. So please, How to Be Jewish in 30 Seconds. And don't forget, if you want to be co-host, you want to be on, you want to create, rabbiblock@hotmail.com. Get in touch.